Hi, we are here today to show how to do an impression, do the bite and the base plate all in one visit the day of the nursing home visit day. First, what you'll need are bowls, measure cup, and a measuring scooper. Usually in one bowl you put 2 scoops of alginate in each bowl if it's a small to medium tray. If it's a larger tray, you may want to use 3 scoops. So we are scooping the alginate into the bowl, 2 scoops each bowl. And the best way to do it is to make sure you have all your material set out before you start. This way you can have everything ready to go, because you are dealing with people in the nursing home, and you don't.
Why don't you say what each thing is that you need?
Okay, what you need to start with are mixing bowls, alginate, mixing stone. You will need base plates, knives, spatula, the Triad denture base material, the forms to make the base plates. When you pour the models, you can put the stone and then you put the impression. I'll show you down the road how this works, but this is to make the base of it. You will need a lighter, torch, trays, and Triad machine, vibrator, and that's about it, and a patient. So now I have 2 scoops of alginate with 2 scoops of 2 measuring cups of water, and what you're going to do is pour the water into the alginate and you're going to mix. And we already tried in the trays, and we're hoping, and you want a good consistency. That's why it's important to use your measuring cup and your measuring cups for the alginate and the water. Alright, here we go. So we will put our alginate into the tray.
Yum.
And what I like to do is I usually like to take a paper towel to wipe off the excess alginate off the spatula, because you do have a little bit of working time. And then what you're going to do is you're going to place the alginate into the mouth, and you're going to hope that they don't throw up. And then you have to wait till it hardens. I like to use lukewarm water. It makes it set just a tad quicker than using cold water, or you can use room temperature water. But it's important to use the water at room temperature or warmer, because you don't know make it a good consistency and to set fast. So it takes about a minute, maybe a little less. And you know, a watch pot never boils. But it is setting. We have a very good patient. It's getting in there. Okay, I'm going to take it out now. It's set. There we go. So now we'll clean up a little bit.
Mint flavor.
I just don't want it to kind of Here, you want me to take that?
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Now, we are going to do the lower arch. And I'm gonna measure 2 cups of water, or to the second line, and they're all measured up to, there's 3 lines for 3 cups. And I'm gonna mix.
You're a good mixer.
Thank you.
Must be lots of years of experience.
Yeah, 32 to be exact.
32, wow.
And then we'll place the alginate into the tray. And then I'll wipe off the excess. And just put a little bit of water. Now here's just to kind of smooth it a little bit. Then you're going to place a tray on the lower teeth, and then you're going to have them lift their tongue up to the roof of their mouth so you don't get an impression of the tongue, and stick your tongue out a little bit so it kind of smooshes the alginate forward. There, now you can relax. And now we'll wait again. So that's all there's to it. I'm taking an impression. And after this, we will pour the alginate, and you want to pour it up right away because sometimes the alginate can dry up and become distorted. So you want to pour the alginate right away. So we will do that as soon as we're done here. And then we have to wait for the stone to set to take it apart and start the base plate. So sometimes from start to finish it takes a couple hours. So in the nursing home, what you want to do though is to make sure you get the impression first thing in the morning is most recommendable, because you have these steps to do, and throughout your morning you have time to do your lab work, and then sometimes maybe before lunch or right after lunch you can get the patient back and then take their bite. Alginate is set. I'm going to take it out. It came out great.
Yay!
Now that's step 1 in taking the impression. I have another bib.
I'm good.
Oh, you're good right now.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
you're good. Okay,
Now
now
we can fast forward to the next step.
now what we're going to do is, and you don't have to so much measure for mixing of the stone, but what you're going to do is then pour the water into the stone.
Do you use warm water for that too?
Yeah, I usually, what I usually do when I get into the nursing home and I know that we're doing impressions for dentures or partials, I usually fill up a thing of water in a mixing bowl and let it set. This way it'll get to room temperature, and I usually fill it up with warm water. And then I just mix it, and I don't make it runny. It's thicker than like cake mix material, because you're gonna vibrate it. You have to vibrate the stone to get the air bubbles out. And then when you vibrate it into the trays, this way it'll prevent from getting bubbles. So this is about the consistency I like. If you like it thicker, you can put a little more stone in, but usually thicker sometimes is a little bit harder to work with and vibrate the stone into the trays. So I just put this on, get the air bubbles all out of the floating to the top, like that. You can kind of see it. This is a very strong vibrator. It's okay, and then here's the air bubbles. So then what I do is take it off. I usually put a paper towel or something over the vibrator so you don't get stone floating all over the vibrator. And then I just vibrate the stone into the grooves. Teeth, like that.
Just a little bit at a time, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit at a time, because this way you want to get you want the stone to go into the indentations, the teeth indentations, because then it prevents from getting air bubbles. If you just slap it on, air bubbles can form. And see, you don't see any air bubbles.
Yeah, it's nice and smooth.
And then just fill it to the top, like that. And then what I do, then I'll get my preformed base, and I will fill it with alginate. Fill it with stone. And then what I do is let that sit. And let that sit for a second, and then I'll do the second part, this is the lower, and just vibrate it all in
Put
there.
that box of gloves on there.
And then, and just vibrate it in to the model. Just kinda get in there like that. And I like to fill the stone all the way up to level it. So then when you lay it on the form, kind of, it's all like even. And you don't have, because you don't have a trimmer or anything, you kind of have to trim it while the stone is setting, so you can get rid of some of the excess. Place it down, and once you place it down, you don't want to move it, because if you move it, then your air bubbles can form and you can get holes in the model. So I'm filling the heels. And then I'm going to place this down like so. And then what I usually do is I just take my finger and I just go along the edges like this to get the excess off. Because then when you go ahead to make your base plate, you won't have anything interfering, any extra stone or anything. And then sometimes I just like to build up my heels. Just stick it so it's all kind of like that. And you want to try to do this once, because we're dealing with a different type of, dealing with different people who, you know, don't have the good attention span. So then I take the inside where the tongue's at and just kind of level it out. This way, when you do your base plate, you'll have, it'll be kind of clear to where you can extend it. Okay. So same thing here. Just go around a little bit. So now we have to wait for that to harden. Meanwhile, while that's hardening, we go ahead and we will see other patients, and we'll get ready then to do the next step, making the dentures.